To call the Township of Lopatcong regular meeting for April 6, 2022 to order. I would ask that you bow your heads for a moment of silence, keeping in mind Kathy Wismer, one of our past members of our Delaware Park Firehouse, and also Harold Curry, who was the father of one of our former councilmen here and a big person here in town, and he volunteered his time for a lot of things.
And Mayor,
Yes.
Doug Van Winkle.
Doug Van Winkle, also just a fine gentleman and a former member of our fire department, just passed away very recently. I think the service was yesterday or Monday?
2 days ago, yes.
Yeah. All right. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided indicating the time and place of the meeting in accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 by advertising a notice in the Star Ledger and the Express Times and by posting a copy on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Roll call, please.
Councilman Belcarra.
Here.
Councilman McQuaid.
Here.
Councilman Leo.
Here.
Council President Wright.
Here.
Mayor Menouche.
Here. Need a motion to come out of the executive session?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Council is in executive session for approximately 1 hour, and the topics were discussed as listed on your agenda 1 through 8. The minutes from executive session will be available at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Stefano? You're hard to miss. Come on up.
You want to face the audience?
Sure.
Okay. You're going to right? You can stand right here. Okay, and you're going to raise your right hand. Raise your right hand. I, Robert Stefano,
I, Robert Stefano,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of sergeant in the police department,
all the duties of sergeant in the police department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, congratulations.
Just, I'll probably be the death of the police are probably tired of me, but, I've said that I honestly believe we have the best police force in Warren County. Sergeant Erickson is in the back of the room, he just retired. I was there for his final walkout, and these are people who are dedicated to this township in many ways, not just as our police officers. So, again, I know I'd be to death, people helping people. That's my vision for Lopatcong. I believe it, if we all live it, we'll all be better off for it. So, Bob, congratulations, and for the rest of the police. But we're not done with the police department yet tonight. Holden, come on up here, young man. I'd like to bring his two coaches up here too, Matt, and Matt, if you'd like to come up. Before I start with Holden, I would be remiss. I have lived alongside Matt Peters, senior, for the last 39 years. He really, I'm in my childhood home. His parents lived right behind where he's living now. A finer gentleman I've never met. He is, him and his son, he's raised a class family over there. They've done a lot of things. I have had the privilege of seeing what he's done with the children of this area, because unfortunately, when I'm out cutting my grass or whatnot, I see kids that he coached. I'm talking Matt Senior now. that he coached years ago from Stockton, just, admire the guy, how you doing, Mr. Mears? Again, because of living next door to him, I've seen him open up his pool, I've seen him open up his house. Him and his wife Joanne and his 3 children could not be better examples of what people helping people means. I know Matt's probably embarrassed, he didn't know I was gonna do this, I did say I'd see him Wednesday night. But him and his son both. You see young Matt here in his stature. We have arborvitae's between our yards, and when they were this high, I used to run through and stare the hell out of it. Now I just hope he doesn't have a flashback and break me in half. That'd be it. So, again, you 2 guys, class acts to this township. Obviously, a huge asset to Notre Dame and to this young man here. So, my thanks to you 2 guys for not only being great to my family and my kids, but just being great neighbors.
Feelings likewise, Jeff.
Holden, we have a little proclamation here for you tonight. I'm going to assume you get your toughness from your mother. Anyway, this is a proclamation for Holden Garcia. He's a PIAA class AA wrestling state champion over in Pennsylvania. It says, whereas Holden Garcia began his wrestling career in kindergarten with the Lopatcong wrestling team, and whereas Holden went on to wrestle with club wrestling, the Phillipsburg Middle School, and in high school wrestled for Notre Dame with a record of 97 wins and 26 losses. And whereas Holden qualified for the Pennsylvania State Wrestling Championships 3 times, becoming a PIAA Class AA Wrestling State Champion in 2022, and by placing first in the 160-pound category. And whereas we recognize the significant positive influence sports achieve that channel the energies and enthusiasm of so many of our youth into healthy activities, teaching sportsmanship and the competitive will to win, and furthering physical fitness and well-being through a wholesome association with others in organized sports. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and council of the Township of Lopatcong, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, congratulate Holden Garcia on his athletic achievements and wish him the best of luck in all his future endeavors. Congratulations. Keep up here. Somebody must want to take a photo op, right?
Take the opportunity. Thank you, guys.
Good. Thank you. Sergeant Erickson, my congratulations to you on your retirement, and thank you for a very heartfelt thank you. It's nice to know that you appreciated what we did. We certainly appreciated what you did.
Thank you.
Good job, John. And now, when you've been in politics as long as I've been here, I expect half the room to empty out, because you really don't want to be here for the whole meeting. So, I'll give you a couple minutes to exit. Thank you.
Good job, Mayor.
Thank you.
Big dude.
All right, thanks, Joe.
I hope he gives you some money now.
Yeah. If he doesn't, you're on your own. I'm not taking him on.
I used to, not anymore.
Yes.
All right, do we have any public comment on agenda items only? Yes, Jude.
Hi.
How are you?
Steve Liptak, 47 Kyle Drive. How's everybody tonight?
We're
Great
good.
ceremony. So I'm here to talk about the ordinance 22-03, definition of truck stop. Looking for some clarification. So I'm just going to ask outright before I kind of ask some questions about it. Does this ordinance, the way it is written tonight, prevent the parking of trucks for the staging areas in the twilight zone? Can I just age myself? With twilight parking, the gymnastics there, that lot, the mall, and the repair shop that has some
So
activity.
we don't need this ordinance to prohibit that parking.
Okay,
Parking is not, truck parking is not permitted in those sections. And that's why there's zoning violations pending on all of those lots.
okay,
What this does is if someone came in and said, I'd like to put in a truck stop, or let's say the Twilight lot said, I'd like to come in for a site plan for a truck stop. They
Okay.
look at the ordinance and say, well, truck stops aren't permitted, you can't do that. So they couldn't legitimize what they're doing through the land use.
okay. So, because when I'm looking at the definition of a truck stop here, I'm not seeing anything that talks about parking. So my assumption is that the word storage, the way it's defined as a space, for storing or the act of storing, and a synonym for it is like depot. So storage would be if someone was storing their truck there overnight, taking the cab off, driving away in their car, leaving their truck there, that would be storage. So that's going to prohibit anything in this town for someone to park, to open up a lot, to say, oh yeah, you could park your buses here, you could park your trucks here. This is going to cover all of that.
Paul, you agree with that?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. That was my question on agenda 9. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Agenda items only. Seeing none, we're going to move into old business. Number 1 is to approve the minutes of February 16th and March 2nd in the executive regular sessions. Gentlemen, you've all had a chance to take a look at them. Are there any omissions or anything that we'd like to change? Hearing and seeing none, can I have a motion on number 1?
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Del Caro?
Abstain for February 16th, and yes on March 2nd.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Mikus?
Yes. Number 2 is ordinance number 22-02, second reading and public hearing to amend, revise, and supplement Chapter 227, vehicles and traffic, including Section 11, stopping and standing prohibited during certain hours on certain streets relative to Strikers Road. Need a motion to open up to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Folks, questions, comments on number 2? Donna?
Donna Schneider, 26 Meadowview. I just wanted to ask a question on that. I didn't see the ordinance. Which streets does that?
It's Strikers Road, both sides, all times of day between 57 and Greenwich, the border.
Strikers Road, both sides, okay, between 57 and Greenwich. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Brian?
Before you sign that, where does that need to be with our mower trailer and all that? All right, I have to be able to cut that basin. I've got to be able to park somewhere.
That doesn't take him.
You're exempt. You're exempt from that.
That's what I want.
You're exempt.
Yeah.
No, you're exempt from that.
Yeah.
Chief, just write the ticket with the seam there.
All right. Need a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to act on number 2?
Make the motion.
Second.
Councilman Del Caro?
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Yes. Number 3 is ordinance number 22-03, second reading and public hearing to amend and revise Chapter 243 entitled Zoning and Land Use to amend sections 243-5, 243-65.3, and 243-77. to prohibit truck stops within the Township of Lopatcong. Your motion open up to the public?
Motion.
I'll second it. Folks, questions, comments on number 3? Donna?
Sorry, just a quick question. On the verbiage of it, do you know of any other towns, Katrina, I don't know, in your whereabouts, that have an ordinance such as this?
I don't, because I would have copied it, but we had to do some work to come up with a definition of truck stop, so Paul helped me, we had some planners help.
White Township has standards.
White Township
White
does?
Township does.
Okay,
But I can tell you, and sometimes it's been asked if we have this, and again, the answer is, well, you can't just have a commercial property and let people park their trucks in it. You'd need a site plan to do that, but they don't have this in their ordinance.
gotcha, okay. And so as is, and when you pass it tonight, this is enforceable? This is an enforceable, as it,
It has to be advertised, and then at 20 days after it's advertised, it takes effect.
20 days, okay. So if someone were to put in an application right now, they would be able to put a truck stop here?
They'd have to have a complete application before it's effective, so.
It wouldn't be that, okay, all right, just
It'd
checking.
be very
Okay,
difficult.
thank you.
Anyone else? John?
Number 3.
Yes.
Can this ordinance be fought like the warehouse ordinance over on Strikers Road behind Berry Plastic and, or where the, solar field is? I mean, you know how,
I mean, you could challenge any ordinance.
yeah, okay, because the only reason I'm asking is because of the way that the behind the Berry Plastic and on the solar field, the way that was challenged. So actually, this could be challenged by somebody who wanted to.
They have, after it takes effect, they have 45 days to file a challenge.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Questions, comments on number 3? Yes, sir.
47 Kyle Drive. Just for clarification on the existing lots that are being used, we'll call it the Twilight Zone, the service place and all. If this gets enforced, would those places have to have the trucks removed?
They already have to have the trucks removed.
They already
Zoning
do.
Violation, well, we're waiting for a judge to tell them that, but the zoning officer wrote violations that are pending in municipal court for them to remove their trucks.
And so then in conjunction to that, because I was going to ask, what are the penalties associated with having a truck stop? But I don't think that would matter because, one, you've prohibited them, so they shouldn't even come up. But I guess to the point now where trucks are continuing to park that are so-called in violation, what are the penalties for that? And can we strengthen those penalties, make them stronger?
So the penalties are set forth in the general code. We're only allowed to, I just did this research on something else in another town. It's maximum $2,000 a day. So every time the violation, zoning off, right now there's one violation pending. We're waiting for the court to in fact say, yes, you're in violation, remove the trucks. If the court finds they're in violation and they continue to do it, the zoning officer can go out and continue to write. Every day they're out there, he could write it. And it's up to $2,000 a day, but the court decides how much. It's a minimum of $100 and a maximum of $2,000. There's some jail time that they never enforce. There's community service. It's that general code violation section. They don't really give us any more teeth than that. But first we need the court to confirm that we're right, that, but it's a municipal court. It's not like litigation court.
Sure.
So once the court hears them, then if they still don't move them, then they can write violations more frequently.
Okay, all right.
And just one real quick thing. The judge gave until April 19th to remove all the trucks and stuff. I was going to say it in my report, but it gave until April 19th, so that's when we'll see everything moved out of.
And if not, then that means April 20th, we can start to issue.
Write them again.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Betts?
Yes, I just want to understand, it's just the management of the land that the trucks are parking on, or is it each individual truck that's written a violation?
Owner of the land.
Owner of the land, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Number 3. Seeing none, motion to close?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Motion to act.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Yes. Number 4 is ordinance number 22-04, second reading, public hearing to amend chapter 227 entitled Vehicles and Traffic to add regulations pursuant to NJSA 39-5A-1 for the private roadway systems within the Autumn Ridge development.
So this just allows the police to enforce traffic violations within Autumn Ridge.
Okay. All right, we need a motion to open up to the public?
Motion.
I'll second it. Folks, questions, comments concerning Autumn Ridge? Seeing none, motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion act.
Motion.
I'll second it. Go ahead.
Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Yes. Number 5 is the 2022 budget. Adopt resolution for self-examination of the budget before introduction.
So every three years, you have to send it down to Trenton and let them examine it, but in between those years, you get to do a self-examination, so you're just adopting a resolution that's saying you're doing that.
You followed all the rules and regulations pursuant to the budget.
Okay. Need a motion to act on number 5?
Motion. Second.
Councilman Belcarra?
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Mayor McKinney?
Yes. New business, Robin George, shade tree report.
Now
Oops.
you're going to introduce your budget.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. You skipped me.
Sit down.
Let me get this phone.
Need a motion?
Not yet. Not yet. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 2022.
We're in good shape.
budget. Huh?
We're in great shape.
Yeah, we are.
There you go.
The 2022, we're introducing the 2022 budget, Lopatcong Township budget. The total appropriations as introduced are $9,805,264.95. We're anticipating revenues of $4,098,979.59, which would lead us to amount to be raised in 2022, $5,706,285.36. Now, what this equates to is we always use the house assessed at $231,000. For local share, which is our share, it would equate to $38 for the year. The major increases were our pensions, insurance, cost of salt, leaf disposal. We have in there for park planner, professional service, and then all the statutory items that really are out of our control. Let's see, the sewer budget will remain with no increases at $1,850,000. So this, our current fund budget is fiscally responsible and doesn't compromise us with any of the taxpayer services.
Okay. You good? You done? All right.
You want to say that?
Yeah, I'll just give a couple of other points on it real quick. You know, in reviewing and assisting with the budget this year, a couple points for the council. We're continuing to aggressively pay down our debt. In the 2022 budget, we're actually paying off $1.3 million. And with all the increases that Kim had just mentioned, as well as that, we're still taking $80,000, putting it aside into our capital improvement fund for improvements throughout the township. We've been consistently recovering our fund balance for the last several years now, which is great. So there's no worries about the amount that we're anticipating from fund balance recuperating in 2022. And I do just want to mention two things. One, I know that we've had a lot of tax issues in Lopatcong over the past several.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit. But there's some good news. Danielle's collection rate this year was up to 98.45%. By comparison, if we look at last year, it was around the high 96%, as well as the previous year. And in 2018, it was actually below 96%. So she's really done a great job with that, which helps a lot with your surplus. And it also helps out with budgeting. It makes it easier for us. On top of that, Kim did a fantastic job putting the budget together. I mean, she always does. You guys know what you have here, so. But, yeah, quite welcome.
Let me just expound on it a little bit in regards to Kim, and I've said this publicly before. And again, this has nothing to do with me, it's just the points that I'm gonna make. When I got out of here in 2012, and got back on as your mayor in January of 2018, I think we had been through 3 or 4 CFOs. Kim just happened to, she was hired before I came on, but her start date was the same as mine as your mayor. And I can tell you that I was used to, in my 5 terms that I sat up here before I got out, I had two CFOs. Between 2012 and 2018, I think we had 3 or 4 here. So you've definitely righted the ship. Your expertise has helped me immensely. Again, it's tough sometimes as a mayor to be you're an absentee boss. And all I can do is depend on the people that are here day in and day out to tell me, what we're doing. So my thanks to you publicly and everybody else who has helped with the budget.
It's a team.
Our certified tax rate here in Lopatcong, I mean, it was 2.967 for 2021. And I have other, 2020, it was 2.955. 2019, it was 2.962. In 18, we were 2.947. So if you look at that tax rate, that's total tax rate per 100 of assessed value. That's kudos to us, to the county, to the school, for the amount of roads that we have paved. We've maintained your services. We've bought some new equipment for the DPW. We've kept up with our police. And again, kudos to Chief Garcia. I told him when I became mayor, I said, listen, I'll do my best to get you 2 cars every year. If there's a time you don't need them, then tell me. And twice now, he's told me he only needs 1 car. And this year we bought some new guns for the police department with the money that we saved by not buying a car. So as Kim said, it's really a team effort. It's a great time to be sitting up here in the captain's chair. And my thanks to all of the council people that sit up here. Many times I've said, it's great to be a quarterback. Quarterback who's out on the field without his line, you got a problem. So my thanks to all these gentlemen too. Anyway, I'll move on with the budget. Or with the rest of the agenda. I do have some things to say about where we're heading, where we'd like to head. So
I have a question for Kim.
Go ahead.
Kim, I just want to clarify and just bring up to date, part of the settlement with the lawsuit we have with Peaburg, right? And not to raise rates for 5 years. Are we in our first year? Are we coming, end of our first year?
No, you're talking about the sewer? The whole
Yes,
sewer
the
issue?
sewer.
No, we're in let me see, our 3rd year. So we have 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, so we're in our 3rd year of getting that credit.
We're in our 3rd year.
Yes.
For some reason, time just seems to fly.
Lies, it's roughly 100,000 credit for the year,
Right,
and they take it off per quarter.
right.
Yep,
That's
yep,
just part of the settlement.
yes.
So every
plus.
homeowner should have seen a reduction
In their sewer rate.
in the
They
sewer
did.
rate.
Oh, they did.
They
Yeah,
did.
yeah, last year we.
Because we
increased
lowered
it
ourselves,
again.
we
So-
lowered it also.
Yes, yes,
So
So we're in that 3rd year, you're saying?
yep, yep.
Okay.
there was a time, there'll be time for public comment, John.
I need to ask about the budget.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
How does this year's budget affect landlord taxes, nominal taxes? Is it per 100?
Of assessed value. Yes.
For the landlord?
Yes. Yes.
So as the price of the apartments go up, tax.
It's going to be minimal.
It's not going to hit too hard.
It shouldn't.
I was just wondering. Okay. thanks
So,
for letting me find it.
If they're giving you a different
No.
figure, let me know.
Yeah, yeah.
All right?
We did just settle a tax appeal with the owner of
Yes.
Berkeley Gardens.
Okay.
They have to pay us. They were underassessed.
It was substantial too this year, so that's gonna help us this year too.
Yeah. So they may try to pass that along to the, but
Oh.
you have rent control in Brandon.
Yep.
Yeah, and then then could they file for hardship under that circumstance, increase taxes?
I think they agreed to it though.
They did agree
Yeah.
to it, so I'd say
Yeah.
it's hard to say it's a hardship.
Sorry, but.
No, no,
That's okay.
that's quite all right. We need a motion to adopt.
Yes.
And Kim,
Introduced, right?
Introduce.
now the county kept their taxes flat this year, correct?
They went down a little bit.
They went down.
Schools went up.
What is the school?
It's over 2%. I just talked to the business administrator over there. And the school budget is a part of that 2.99. The school budget is over 55% of
Right,
that number.
exactly,
We're the smallest piece.
exactly.
Right. So when I talked to him today, I was a little surprised they went up. It's a little over 2%.
Well, I just wanted the folks to understand that we only control our portion,
Yes, we only control our
which is
portion.
about 19% of the whole tax.
Mhm. So it's hard when we try to be fiscally responsible,
If nobody else is.
and everybody looks at the bottom line, so everybody should know that, the biggest portion is the school.
And I will not deceive the people of this township. When the county goes down, I'm gonna go up a couple cents. Because every one of you in this room could tell me what your taxes are, but you can't tell me what your county tax is. You can't tell me what your school tax is. You know it's the largest portion, but you can't tell me what it is. So I learned from my first stint up here that, it's great to say, I'm not gonna raise taxes, which really is ludicrous to say. With expenses going up, I mean, again, I'll pick on the police department. If you got 10 cars we're running down there, that we were running last year at 2.05 a gallon, now we're running them at $4 a gallon. I mean, you can't, so I learned, by being up here, that it's very foolish sometimes to say, we're gonna hold the line on taxes. We have done our best to hold the line on taxes. I just ran you off the last 5 years of what our tax rate is. It's been very minuscule as far as we've paved a lot of roads, and we've taken our surplus, from what I understand, sometime between 2012 and 2018, when I got back on, our surplus in this township was $65,000. That's absolutely nothing. And we went from 2.4 to roughly 3.2 this year.
Yep.
So we're paying down our debt, we're building up our surplus, we're paving our roads, and we're keeping our services the best we can. So it's just, it's a good time, and nobody, the warehouse word, but anyway, we do get revenue from those warehouses. So it's a balance. It's not what you got coming to tell while you balance it out. So we've done our best to do it. So
Now, Kim, as you know, as the money comes in, the taxes, right? You send money to the county and to the school.
Correct.
Right, so we control all of it. I like Pennsylvania's, the way they operate. Each one is, the household gets billed differently. This way they know exactly what they're paying. And they write a check to each one to the school, one to the county, and one to the local.
We have to
And then they
pay
can
the
bitch
county
to
and
whoever
the
they want.
school, whether we have the money collected or not. So they
Right,
get
we
the
have to
guarantee.
pay.
Yes,
Right, so,
yes.
right, they get priority of receiving the monies first,
Mhm.
and then whatever's left to us, we have to collect.
Right.
Thank you.
I do want to say too, I know we were looking at that 2% increase on the local, our share. It's under that. It's 1.7, so,
Okay, I like that.
yep.
all right, need a motion. Need a motion.
I'll make a motion. Accept it.
I'll second it.
Councilman Beltrán,
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid,
Yes.
Councilman Toledo,
Yes.
Council President Wright.
Yes.
Mayor Mendez.
Yes. Robin. Sorry. No.
Okay, awesome. Robin George, 34 Wilder Court. It's too bad you guys just did the budget, because, I need a whole lot of money for the trees. You're good, right? No.
We're
just
good.
kidding. Just kidding. Okay, so thank you so much for nominating me last month, and this month I'm going to now entertain you and tell you what we're doing. You do have on your agenda some new members, so we actually are going to have a running council or commission coming up really soon. I have completed the core training, which is required for members of the Shade Tree Commission to have members doing the core training. Let's see. I think, do they have this? They do, okay. You should have the proposed planting location. in your material. Sorry, guys, I don't have it for you all. I'm so sorry. But basically, we, as a township, we have received a little teeny tiny baby sapling. He's about this tall, and I refer to all trees as he. I'm so sorry. It's little, but he's going to grow up someday to be really big. This is a descendant of the oldest living tree in New Jersey. The Salem oak tree was between 500 and 600 years old and was very historic to not only New Jersey, but to the country. Unfortunately, that tree fell in 2019. Very sad. It was in Salem, New Jersey. That's why it's called the Salem oak. And the state of New Jersey collected the acorns and they grew saplings and they donated one to every township. So thankfully, ours wasn't hiding in a closet somewhere from last year when they sent them out. So I'm going to collect ours on the 13th of April. And I've worked with Brian and we went over to the park and we identified a location we would like to plant this tree. I kind of superimposed a beautiful oak tree there in the picture, and we'd like to put it up on the top of the hill at the trailhead, so that as it grows, it can overlook our park and our community and provide shade for the people as they come off the trailhead, and maybe someday we'll be able to put some park benches under it as it grows. The cost, which will come out of my little budget, is really just to cover a little bit of dirt, a deer guard, because I've learned that deer guards are critically important for these little guys, and a little bit of mulch. So it's essentially at no cost to us. And we're going to plant it, we would like your permission to plant it there on Arbor Day, which is April 29th. And as the Shade Tree Commission, we need to celebrate Arbor Day as a community outreach activity. I've reached out to the Cub Scouts and the Brownies, and they would like to participate in a planting ceremony. And I would like to invite you guys, so long as you approve, you can take us and pass them down. I hope that, any of you that are available, if you'd like to come and join us for that planting. See, I've already assumed approval of this, so thank you. So yeah, with your permission and approval of the site and location, we'd like to plant our little baby and really watch it grow over time in the community.
I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. Brian, everything all right with you on that?
Yeah, I think it's a good spot.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Very good.
Okay, and the only other thing is that I'm sure you probably already noticed, but we have established our monthly meeting schedule. It will be the second Thursday of each month. Thank you. Although the notice did say the first Thursday, but the dates are all there, so we're in good shape. I didn't even notice it. So yeah, that's it.
All right, well, we certainly appreciate you kicking us back in gear.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you said this was the oldest tree in Salem, how old was it?
It was between 500 and 600 years old. They're leaning on the 600-year age. It was the last living tree of the original New Jersey forest. And it had a tremendously rich heritage. And in fact, if you come on Arbor Day, I'm going to read the obituary to the tree to the children. So it was a really lovely, lovely obituary that one of the people from the Salem community had written for the tree. So, okay. And I have one question.
Yes.
Should I, as your commissioner, now be giving you an update monthly or only as needed?
That's up to you, really.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned.
If I have something exciting to ask you,
Yes.
I can come and ask? Okay.
You can, yeah.
A written report? Okay. Perfect. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right, gentlemen, the consent agenda, anything, items 1 through 12 that anybody would want removed? Hearing and seeing none?
I have a
Go ahead.
question on number 12, for the septic. Is that for the parks?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Can I have a motion on the consent
Mr.
agenda?
John. Motion.
I'll second it.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Polito?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. McQuaid, council reports?
I don't have anything for you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Belcarra?
Yeah, just real quick, I know we started, Paul, Bellevue Road.
Yes.
It's going to get paved next week.
Yes.
And we have 4 or 5 roads on the list this year. We're going to continue with the mayor's wish list to pave the streets in town, all the streets that need it. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ken?
Thank you. Recreation, Easter egg hunt is this Saturday at 10 o'clock at the park. Music in the park for the summer. Thank you, Kayla, for excellent efforts in getting band booked for every week during the season. And we're also doing some work on Community Day, which is going to be the 10th. We're going to be doing, in connection, we're going to have a tribute with the veterans,
September 10th?
September 10th.
Okay. And we have music in the park starting when?
June
June 1st?
Yep, June 1st, every Wednesday night, 7 PM to 9 PM. Right now, I'm working on getting some food vendors there for the couple hours in case anybody's hungry.
June 1st better not be a band I want to hear, because I'm sure that's
It's not.
a council meeting. Really?
Yeah, you guys should show.
You'll be absent mayor, you'll be having a meeting.
Yeah, we'll have the meeting there.
And also, a resident who is here this evening had reached out to me about doing some kind of cleanup in connection with Earth Day. I know Earth Day is the 23rd, so I'm cutting it close to do something, but I would like to work with him in organizing something down the road.
Okay,
And that's all for now. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Mr. Wright?
Since the guys took my spiel for the truck parking, I just want to thank Kim. Great job on the budget. Your team did a great job. And I got to also give a lot of thanks to Beth. She's gotten the girls, all the departments really working together as a team. And you can see it when you come in here. I've been stopping in a lot lately, and
Yeah, they've been telling me.
And I mean, everything's getting caught up. We had a little slack here where we had people off. We got Kayla in the office now working. Things are really moving along, and people are getting along great, and it's really an asset. You guys are really doing a great job.
There has been a marked improvement, I'll echo those words. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Mr. Wright, myself, Mr. Sturbins, met out at the pool today. Our 55-year-old pool, in our park. Pool was put in '67. I think you've all heard me say this before. I want to put it out for referendum as to an explanation as to what we're going to do with that pool. So be ready for it. Give us some input on it. It cannot operate the way it's operating now. And to be quite honest with you, our pool, as much as I'd love to see it open again, is become a community service. And it becomes an idea of how much money do we want to put toward that community service. It's not going to make money because there's a 90-day window there to make money. And let's face it, by mid-August, the kids are back in football mode and they're getting back into school mode, and everybody's basically had their summer thing. So it's not just the pool, it's the park we're going to look at. We renovated the park in 2006, added some stuff to it. And we're at that, I feel like we're at that point again. So again, in trying to right the ship and getting our surplus built up and whatnot, it's not going to be cheap. Nothing's cheap. It depends on what we want. The one thing I've heard consistently over the years is how much people love that park. And a lot of people like the pool. Again, I've told you my heartstrings. My father was mayor at this township when that ribbon was cut for that pool. So my heartstrings are telling me, hey, let's get it back up. My business sense is telling me this is 2022. It's not 1967 anymore. There's not 400 kids up there. Overlook, Warren Heights, Delaware Crossing, Autumn Ridge. What I miss?
Sycamore Landing.
Sycamore Landing. I always miss that. They've all got their own pools. Why are you going to drive over to our pool? So, again, that's why it's going out to you, the people. I realize anybody, from 3 to 93 could go to that pool. It's been an integral part of this township and for our youth for a lot of years. But as you know, community pools are expensive, in my other job as Director of Facilities for the Phillipsburg School District. We just put, we put a lot of money into that pool over there. That needs to be done. But that's an indoor pool. It doesn't get the weather and we can use it all year round. We do rent it out to different groups and organizations, providing they're not interfering with the high school swim team. So we have an opportunity to make money there. And as I said to these guys earlier, in the end, depending on what happens with this park, part of that is the maintenance of the park. Now, in not hurting anybody who's already employed here, I would want to bid that park out and be done with it. We're not, no mowers, no trailers, no weed whackers, no weed whacker string, no diesel cans, no regular gas cans, all that stuff goes away if we take it out. If we hire more help, we can do that, but with that comes the expenditure of the help and the benefits. And again, not hurting anybody who's here. I'm not laying anybody off. I'm just taking that away. I just think we've become, we've done a lot of things. Brian knows this, our retention ponds. All the fences down around our retention ponds. We were under no legal obligation. Those retention ponds were a mess. And somebody said about the kids, I said, well, the kids are the ones cutting a hole in the fence. Let's be honest. You're worried about safety. We're all worried about safety. I don't want anybody losing a life or anything in those retention ponds, but by the same token, the man hours invested in weed whacking around those things. And now you're gonna be able to simply blow in there with a mower and get out of there. There are some retention ponds that are open in this world and some that aren't. All of ours are gonna be open because they've become a thorn on our side and we have to act on it. So those are the little things that I don't think anybody really realizes if we talk about up here or deal with our DPW or our police department. So there's some big things coming, but some positive things. As we said earlier tonight, we're paying down our debt. We do have a $725,000 tax appeal that I believe we're in the 4th year of, and it'll be our 5th year next year.
Yep.
That'll be off the books then too. So that's where some of the revenue and stuff is coming from. It's already in the budget to be paid. Next year it won't be there. So again, my thanks to Beth and all the crew here because we really have righted the ship. My first 4 years here, as you well know, were taken up with what happened in our tax office. So it happened. We've hopefully made everybody whole. If we haven't, please see me. If you get to me, trust me, I'll put you in front of the line because I don't want to hear it. So I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm happy with where we're at. Could we be better? Absolutely. Our emergency squad, just so you know what's on my mind, they're no longer in service. We're being taken care of by Phillipsburg. We've taken care of them. At some point, and again, we don't own the building. That building is right at the opening of our park. I would possibly like to purchase that building. There's a Morton building there. There's some garages underneath that our DPW could certainly use to store some equipment. The actual area upstairs could maybe become a senior center for us. So that's kind of what's on my mind for that. So I just want you to know that, in case you wonder sometimes, what the heck are they doing? There's a lot, as you can see, that's on my mind to help. And with the help of this council and Paul and everybody else up here, I'm very, very fortunate and very humble to be your mayor. It's been a great experience for me so far. So my thanks to the people that saw fit to put me in here. I've enjoyed it. And that's it for this year. And that's enough of my popping off tonight. Mr. Sturbins?
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I want to report on is we have 2 active construction projects right now. One to improve Bellevue Road between Strikers Road and Belvedere Road. That work is going well right now. The second is to do drainage work and sanitary sewer work and some curb and sidewalk work on Charles Road, a portion of Stonehenge Drive, and then Anna Place. I expect both of these contracts to be completed by the end of next week, weather permitting. Once the work is completed on both of those roadways, or all those roadways, I should say, the paving contractor is going to come in on Stonehenge Drive and Anna Place and Charles Road and pave those particular roads thereafter. And that is scheduled tentatively for the week of the 18th through the 22nd. Again, it's weather permitting. We did meet with that contractor last week on the 29th of March. So I expect by the end of the month that work on all these particular roadways will be done. Where we go from there, we are starting to survey Baltimore Street. And our goal would be to design that, get the Department of Transportation's approval. We have a grant from the department for that project, and try to get that out to bid and build that later this year with a fallback of an early 2023 project, if that doesn't get accomplished. But we're making the move right now to get the project designed.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Chief, other than your report, you're good?
Nothing more to do with reports, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you. As I said before, it's a great time to be here, and Katrina has reminded me that we need to advertise for a DPW. We did have a DPW worker leave us. He will be leaving April 15th, so we do need to advertise for help there. Our tax assessor will be leaving us July 1st, end of July. So we need to advertise for that also. And we need to advertise for, as you may or may not know, Mr. Noto, who cleaned the municipal building here, passed away a couple weeks ago. So we need somebody to clean here and also the pavilion. So we're going to advertise for that also. I think I'll just make a motion for that, those three things right now, before I do anything else. So those three items, gentlemen,
Motion.
Second.
all in favor?
All right.
And also, we need to hire a secretary for the Shade Tree Commission. Kayla will be taking that, and also the adjustment of the salary for the zoning board secretary. So those two items, if you guys are good with that. I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll make the motion. You make the second.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Leo?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Menducci?
Yes. Need a motion to approve department reports?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment of bills?
Motion.
I'll second it.
Councilman Belcarro?
Yes.
Councilman McQuaid?
Yes.
Councilman Leo?
Yes.
Council President Wright?
Yes.
Yes. Folks, questions, comments? You're up. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hello, council. Good evening. I stand before you tonight, not as a member of the planning board, but as a citizen of Lopatcong and as a proud Eagle Scout. You know, hiking the trails at Marble Hill was one of my very first memories of living here, climbing and climbing and climbing through those mature rhododendrons up to the crest overlooking the Delaware River. And my mind couldn't help but recall my scouting days, all the hikes and fun we used to have, and all the lessons and hard work too, caring for each other and for our community. From the library to the fairgrounds, from 519 up Strikers Road and down Belvedere, it's beautiful here. And the more I grow accustomed to the beauty, the more I notice a few areas that stand out as a little less beautiful. To think Belvedere may have derived from two words meaning beautiful and to see. I would love it if we could strike while the iron is hot in celebration of Earth Day and pitch in as a community to help clean up a few of our main streets. Now, to celebrate Earth Day, I want to organize a cleanup in select areas of Lopatcong. And I would love it if you, Mr. Mayor, and the town council would consider spearheading this mission with me and sponsoring this idea to help beautify the township and keep our views a little greener. I've spoken with Chairwoman Robin George of the Shade Tree Commission. I reached out to Jim Polito, council member, and Robin George supports the idea. We have been in conversation with local merchants to see about procuring in-kind donations for supplies to ease logistics and provide for the efficacy of what I think would be a worthwhile venture. We've selected 4 key areas that I or other team leaders will walk with volunteers picking up litter along the way. And after we leave no trace behind, I suggest we leave one trace behind, a sign, at the very crossroads that have seen the very worst offenses to town ordinances against littering and property maintenance. The signs would possibly read, Green Lopatcong, this street lovingly cleaned by Lopatcong residents. With your sponsorship, these signs could perhaps be emblazoned with a township seal so that folks might get the picture and perhaps think twice about throwing their trash on their roads. A scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Clean counts for our communities as well. And that is why I'm here. I would love to help improve the sites we have all seen, and I would like to change what we can for the better. Thank you so much for your attention and for having me speak, allowing me. I'm happy to take any questions and continue this conversation.
Yeah, the 4 areas you're looking at, what are they?
We were thinking Strikers Road, basically from 519 or the Morris Canal to Baltimore Street from Red School Lane to Strikers Road, 57 from Red School Lane to Strikers Road, sort of that little square. And even talking with Brian earlier before the meeting, I realized that perhaps Lock Road might be in need of something even more professional than folks with trash bags. But the mall parking lot, especially northeastern facing section visible from 22, because frankly, I drove the back end just a couple days ago and I couldn't pick up a mattress and torn up furniture and a tree had fallen down. But those 4 little sections, I think, could be walkable and manageable with team leaders and volunteers.
Okay.
I'm happy to consider any other between.
Well, it's funny you brought Lock Street up because I just rode down there Monday night. I got a phone call from a resident. I was probably down there about a week and a half ago because I just cut through there. There are tires, bags of garbage. You know, it's just, I mean, listen, let's face it. It's a societal issue. It's disgusting when you travel 78, 22, and it just piles into the local roads. Why, for the life of me, can't understand why this needs to go out the window when every car that I know of has multiple bottle holders in it. When you get home, throw it out, put it where it should be, but that's just me. I have thrown apple cores out my window.
For the deer,
I have done, well, whatever. That's a biodegradable thing. I shouldn't do it, but I've done it. I applaud your efforts. Whatever it is you feel we can do for you, we'll be more than happy to do it. Because it's got to start somewhere. It just does. It's, you know, again, being the director of facilities for the Phillipsburg School District, it's a constant thing. And my custodial staff, they're on the grounds almost daily, picking, bottles up and whatever that teenagers, whatever teenagers leave on the ground.
Right.
Not to pick on them because the adults are probably worse. But anyway, again, I applaud your efforts. You want to do this on Earth Day?
Yeah, we were thinking the Saturday just following Earth Day. Earth Day is officially, I think, the 22nd, so this 23rd I was asking about, yeah.
So
That's Saturday.
You're talking, what is that?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
You know, just to expand on what you said about, leaving the trail behind, some signs. I'd like to expand that throughout the town,
Yeah.
not just in those 4 locations.
Sure.
Is that your intention?
Yes, it was kind of an homage to the sponsor a highway motif. But, yeah, wherever we have been, that is what we will leave.
Right. Right, I mean, I never seen, we don't have signs in town, please do not litter, right? We have no such signs. Well, we gotta put them on the streets. The park is, right. And they're stolen.
A week?
Really?
Yeah, I hear you, Mr. Bocaro. I think perhaps and I'm happy to, these were 4 places where I heard, as a citizen and as a member of the planning board, people, and places that I've seen. I've heeded my own mental call. And we can start with these areas, the top and tail of Strikers or wherever folks tend to.
I think if just like a commercial, right? You have to keep showing it over and over and over again until, people, it sinks in. They could drive by 1,000 times and never see it. But one day they'll see it.
Right.
So it's the same concept. So, posting throughout the town so people drive all over the place. Oh, look at that sign. Oh, look at that sign. So now it starts to stick to some degree.
Ironically enough, you mentioned them all. I drove back on Route 29th of March. Drove back through there. That's private property there. I don't know if we can do that unless we officially send them some sort of a letter and they agree to it. But certainly a
I think
mess.
we can just send them a letter letting them know that it's anticipated that's going to happen. I can't imagine that they would object, but send them a letter and say, if you have an objection, let us know by this date. This way, we're not requiring a response. This way, if they just don't respond, that's a response. So I can send a letter.
Okay. And in terms of the mall, perhaps the front facing, like I said, it's rather, if not dangerous, it's definitely precarious in terms of, or impossible to haul a mattress or a broken couch or somewhat. But I'm happy to, in terms of the local merchants there, we've been in contact for folks like Chick-fil-A or Starbucks to say, hey, want to open your dumpster on the 23rd for us?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to make it as easy as possible. So perhaps the one ask per se would be the signs that would be emblazoned with your, with your town seal, with our town seal, to make it a little more visible or to leave a little bit of more of a mark.
All right. Certainly appreciate your efforts, William.
Mayor, just one thing I want to note, I appreciate that, what this gentleman is going to be doing with his group, and I just wanted to note that this will help us with our compliance with our stormwater permit. We get credit for events like this, so appreciate your help.
My pleasure. Yeah, I have seen the storm areas, the storm drains. Happy to clear out what we can, for sure.
It's just a shame that it's come to this, but it has. Yeah. Not too many things gas me up anymore, but I mean, come on. The garbage is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Along 78, and the plastic's not gonna go anywhere once you throw it out, so.
Yeah, I know.
We're going to paper bags pretty soon.
Well, yeah, or
May 1st.
right? Or boxes. Just bring your own crate or
Yep.
something to, like the good old days, I suppose.
You're like going to Sam's Club or BJ's.
Yep. I'll be putting groceries in my car in a bag of rip, and I'll be doing it. But it needs to be done. It does. Anyway, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Maybe I won't shop as much.
There you go. Maybe I might
Maybe I will carry it.
That's a
Anyone
plus.
else? Questions, comments?
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
I want to just follow up on him. It was in such a hurry to get up here. So I would like from the Shade Tree Commission also, because we have to do community outreach, and that's why Michael and I were working together on it. We would like to kind of sponsor it as the Shade Tree Commission. Some of the people that you approved, hopefully tonight, we got together and we talked to him, so we can put our name on it, because we have to do community outreach. So I would like to be able to participate in that with him. And to your point, Mr. Belcaro, I would like to see us do this on a recurring basis. And the signs that Michael has an estimate for, they can be moved. Every time we do a different street, if we start on Earth Day, we can do it next month and the following month. And we can work on that together to keep the community doing that and to move the signs with us. And there's a volunteer sheet right out front, so hopefully everybody here would be happy to sign up to help us the day after Earth Day.
Well, aside from moving them, I'm talking about, permanent signs.
Well, absolutely, but we don't have the capacity to ask for that at the moment. We just want to get it started.
Well, to get it started, it's one thing.
We can
Right,
move
but
to permanent signs,
The goal would
absolutely.
be to go to permanent.
That's right.
And throughout.
Absolutely. So I just wanted to add on to you, Michael. Thank you so much.
We'll start as saplings, right? Or seeds. But thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I have a little statement I'd like to make. Bob Bruce, 11 Harwich Road. Before I do, I'd like to ask council if they could continue stating their support for the Ukrainian people in the war that is forced upon them by war criminal Putin. I appreciated that when that was brought up at the meeting, and personal request. That thing works, so I don't have to.
It does.
Okay. A statement. My wife and I moved here from Queens, New York, way back in 1987, so we've seen many of the changes in those 35 years. We won't be sad to see the Lopat pool not get rebuilt. We actually had to explain to our 4-year-old son what a Nazi was at that Lopatcong pool. It was two men had taken off their shirts to reveal swastika tattoos. And we wondered whether, at that point, whether we moved to a place that, it's a good idea to move here. We were sad to lose Lanco, but we got ShopRite.
We don't know if those swastika tattooed men still live around here, but we were thrilled that years later, we heard that our ShopRite had refused to make a happy birthday Adolf cake. And that little birthday boy who got hate instilled growing up, he did get his cake. It was made by the Walmart in Route 248, but it wasn't in Lopat. So in those 35 years, I've driven over 1 million miles back and forth to work along Route 78, and it was worth it because when I got home, there was little and lovely old Lopat here waiting for me. My wife and I marveled at shopping at Piazza's stand. We were thrilled when we got stuck behind a tractor, but it was a farmer's tractor that was moving their crops along Strikers. And we still to this day go for country drives along 57, thankful for where we're living. By and large, all these gradual changes happened while we weren't paying attention. Some of us were. I wasn't a part of the fight against the asphalt plant. I wasn't a part of the fight against the existing warehouse that's been built on Strikers. That's all history, and I don't want to revisit a history that I wasn't a part of, the history that I don't know whether members of this council, previous councils, what role people played in that. But what's not history is what's present. And opposition to this township becoming, no other way for me to emphasize it, a warehouse ghetto, a tractor-trailer ghetto. The first council meeting I ever attended, I rose to speak out in defense against just something like that happening. I mentioned I had phoned the Greenwich PD about a tractor-trailer parked at the canal parking lot. I mentioned I had informed Greenwich Councilman Frank Marchetti. I mentioned that inside of a week, signage was posted there prohibiting tractor trailers. I mentioned I don't relish burdening Lopat police with calls for similar illegal truck activity. And to its credit, he passed this ordinance, kind of good, because when I was informed by council, call the police, that's okay, call them. So I did. Last week, when I saw a tractor trailer parked on Strikers, I called Lopat PD. I followed up there for work with the police in this building. I learned he wasn't ticketed because he said he was disabled awaiting assistance. But I also learned, and I quote, ticketing was at the discretion of the officer. There are many, many issues with tractor trailers that have been voiced to this council. I am asking that this council request our police, when it comes to tractor trailers, to change the standard from officer discretion to officer obligation. These tractor trailers represent a significant threat to the quality of life, not only in Lopatcong, but all of our neighboring townships. We all have the same stores, same roads, we all send to the same high school. I am certain, if it becomes known, that there is zero tolerance in Lopat, word will get around. So I'm requesting council to ticket tractor trailers wherever, whenever, for whatever they can. We heard council say on more than one occasion, for more than one issue, and I quote, that's an enforcement issue. Right? People here, maybe also at the planning board. So I'm asking you to direct the police to enforce everything, ticket at every opportunity. There are only governing enforcement authority available to us, and I'd like to know if you think that's a reasonable request. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, questions, comments? Judy?
First off, I'd kind of like to echo what Bob said. I moved out here in 2008, and I worked in Edison at the time, and coming home, driving 50 miles, it was worth it because this is kind of like being on vacation here. And unfortunately, now it seems that with the warehouses and the trucks and the illegal truck parking, the garbage, we talked about the specific garbage associated with trucks at the planning board meeting. it's no longer that vacation spot. And, that's why I have been attending these meetings for the past 6 months or so and voicing my opposition against these truck stops, because I don't want my town, the town that I've lived in here, not as long as you guys, but I don't want this town to become something that I want to move away from. So before I talk about what I wanted to talk about today, regarding the pool, putting the referendum out for the pool, I am in agreement with, it doesn't seem like a good idea to throw good money after bad. But you might want to, I don't know if you plan to do this, put up front, what is the cost? The people that say, yeah, I want the pool, it's, what is it? Make it known. What does that mean? How
There
much
will
do you
be a
have to shell
cost
out?
attached to the referendum.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you will know about what it's
Okay,
going to cost.
perfect, thank you. I would suggest also to the cleanup efforts that folks are starting to do, take a look at the park. It seems that the people that are health conscious aren't necessarily ecologically conscious. There's an awful lot of bottles, the water bottles all over the park. It's becoming pretty, there's a lot of not so great looking places in the park when it comes to that. I love the idea about getting a food truck in when we have music in the park. That would be a really good thing. So anyway, leading up to what I wanted to talk about, the truck parking in the multitude of lots, the 3 lots plus, the 3 lots, Peaburg Mall, the Twilight lot, and the Peaburg heavy duty truck repair lot. So I had emailed the zoning officer back in February, at the end of February, and he responded on March 1st saying that the Peaburg Mall had been in court. He said Twilight didn't show up for court. Councilman Wright, you had mentioned on December 29th that they had been warned. So it's like, well, what's going on? How come we really haven't heard anything about that yet? So I did email the zoning officer on Monday, because I know he's here on Tuesdays, so I figured I'd sent some additional pictures to him. And he did respond to me. 3 sentences. He said, John Ketcherson, 38 Jade Lane. He said, John Ketcherson, they have court coming up soon, and they agreed to clean and stop. I cannot harass them as they have a court date coming up and have spoken to the judge. I would suggest you stop trespassing onto private property and allow the processes to take place. This is what a township official feels about a citizen of the township. That was disgusting. Had I written a response, I'm retired now, had I ever written a response like that to anybody when I was working, I probably would have been fired, and rightfully so. I was really taken aback by that. I will not be responding to the zoning officer, and I will not be sending him additional pictures of any of these things. I had done so only because you, Mr. Mayor, had suggested that he would be a better person to send the pictures to rather than you. But if I'm going to be told that I'm trespassing, and by the way, I guess you were trespassing when you drove through the mall parking lot too.
I was.
So, I'm not going to.
I don't know that you're trespassing on the mall.
Well, I don't know where else I'm trying to think where else I would have been trespassing, but to take these pictures. I mean, but that was inexcusable. But anyway, so you had mentioned that, Councilman Wright, that April 19th?
Judge gave him an extra month to come in compliant to what I'm hearing from the judge's office. And on the 19th, they have to be out of there, basically,
Okay.
right? Katrina? Yeah.
Would that be all 3 places,
Yeah.
two parking?
Well, I don't know about, wait a minute, I don't know about the old Cooper's building.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because there was some confusion about what the approvals there said,
Right.
so I don't know if that violation is running later than the others.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly 2 pieces of property there, because it looks like they've just started pushing them out further,
Yeah.
further, east, where they're just parking vehicles. So it looks like that's not even property that.
Okay, he was put on notice though.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so,
Everybody is, but nothing's gonna happen, and trust me, I'm on the zoning guy all the time too. I don't appreciate what he wrote yet, but, he's probably mad at me because I keep saying what's going on.
Mhm.
But now that I heard from the judge's office, we can't, there's nothing we can do right now, but we
Okay.
do that 19th.
Okay, that's good.
But
You know,
things
had
are
he,
moving, yeah.
had he said,
Yeah.
look at these lots
And I
after April
apologize for it.
19th, I would have said, all right. But, he responded with this kind of nonsense.
Sorry that you had to deal with that.
Okay, so that was a lot of what I wanted to ask about. So also I don't know if you've noticed in your recent excursions through the Beeburg Mall, now there's an RV parked in there. It looks out of Breaking Bad. It's, I went through there today, the side steps are deployed, so, it's not just the drivers and passengers doors that they're going out of. That's been there since, I noticed that on Saturday, I went through there, and that's still there today. So, okay, I do appreciate, that they will be out there, hopefully. Onto the, warehouse that is built, and this was brought up at the planning board meeting, but they kind of pointed over to the town council. Is there an ordinance against permanently installed porta potties?
You want to enlighten us on that a little bit, as you and I had a conversation about that?
Yes, there's porta johns on that site due to construction activity. There's 8 of them altogether I inspected last week, 3 that face Strikers Road. We asked the owner there to move those into the back. My understanding is that those porta johns will all be gone within a 90-day period.
Okay.
So the goal would be before July 4th weekend. Let's say. It could be sooner. Those porta johns will be gone.
Thank you.
Yeah, the construction workers are not permitted to enter the postal facility for security reasons.
Understood.
So, and they don't have the new space developed. So that's why the porta johns are there.
Okay. It's, had they been in the back, it would have been different, not so noticeable, but it's like a warehouse that most people don't really want. And, and now we see the porta johns ever since they've been open. So it's like, it's not exactly pretty. So when they built that warehouse on Strikers, they put a whole slew of trees in there. At the time I put my notes together, I was thinking it looks like 75% of these things are dead. And I would say it's probably over that now. All the evergreens are now dead or dying. And,
Some of them have blown over.
Some have blown over. Is there any way to get the warehouse to, I'm sure they didn't plant those out of their own goodwill. It probably had something to do with.
No.
So there was a meeting last Friday with the contractor and the developer about the trees.
Okay.
So all those dead trees are going to be replaced.
Okay.
Or else they're not going to get certain sign-offs or approvals. Those plants are there
God bless.
because they're part of the approved site plan.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think if you've taken a look at the one with Ingersoll, that's been an ongoing thing where they've replaced dead things, so.
Okay,
We're
good.
the same here.
Onto the park. I had asked a couple meetings ago about the trucks that are parked there, Nelson food trucks. So I did ask if that was a temporary situation. You said, yes, it is. So they're still there. So when will they be temporary until?
I don't have a date on that. Do you have something on that, Brian?
They're working it out.
Oh, yeah, they're working. Yep.
Okay. Okay. It's just, the park is one of the few places that you can go and you're not going to see a truck, and it's disheartening when you go around a corner and there's these trucks with their booms lifted up and the outriggers out, and that's there's some wear and tear on the pavement from those things as well too. And when they leave, are we going to be on the hook for repairing the pavement, or they chipping in to do that, or so it's be nice to see those out of there. There's also, and this is a touchy subject, I think, there's an ordinance or there's a regulation or something prohibiting dogs in the park. All right, and there's signs, and they say there's a $1,000 fine, or 90 days in jail, or 90 days worth of community service, or some kind of combination thereof. So that is widely ignored, and it's not enforced whatsoever. My wife and I were walking around the park one day, and there was somebody getting out of their car, and they had their dog with them, and it just happened to be a Lopatcong police car behind him, didn't say a thing about that dog being in the park. There's dogs in the park when there's music in the park. Personally, I don't think the dogs should be excluded from the park, but maybe it would be better to, like if you go to the Stewartsville Park, they have little dog stations where they have bags available for people to pick up the mess and to also deposit the mess. If we're not going to enforce that regulation in the first place, that ordinance in the first place, why don't we change it? Why don't we allow the dogs and just provide people with a means to clean up after their dogs?
I love dogs, just let me say that.
I do as well.
Their work.
Mhm.
I selfishly don't have one, because when I want to pick up and go, I want to pick up and go.
Me as well.
My girlfriend's daughter had her dog at the house, yeah. Can you watch a dog? Sure, I'll watch a dog. Just don't ask me to do too much, because you know what? You bought the dog, I didn't. We could do that. It's not going to solve the problem. You know it as well as I do. If we could put garbage cans along every 10 feet on Strikers Road, you're still going to have garbage. So maybe a little bit more of a police presence might help. I don't know. I took a flight back from Florida in February, and myself, my girlfriend, next to her is a lady with Fluffy, I'll call it. And, there sits the dog. We're getting ready to take off, put the dog back in a bag, zip Fluffy under the front seat, and the dog's looking up. So the dog, it was a great dog. I hesitate to say this, but when's enough? Now,
I'm with you.
Therapy dogs, therapy peacocks, you all see it on the news. I'm not the only one who watches the news. It's just, when is enough? And I hear you. There's nothing worse than going out and stepping in some dog dude, having your shoe. If you don't know it, you're going to carry it in your house or get it back in your car when you're done walking the park. I hear you, but you're going to have the expense of the bags, and then you got to have a container to put it in, and then when it's 95 degrees, I'm going to ask Brian to go up there and empty that thing. And guess what?
Yeah, well, the only, and I agree with you, and I hesitate to say enforce that, because I know there's a lot of dog people that are avid, they're not dogs, they're fur babies, and that's not really my viewpoint.
So again, it's something, trust me, I agree with you, but it's something that we're going to accommodate people. We're going to accommodate, quite frankly, the ignorance of some people who are just not going to do it. So now I've spent the bags, I've gotten the holders for the bags, I've gotten the containers, and I still got the problem.
Yeah.
It's just, so where do I just say, no, I'm not doing it? Because it's your tax dollars, and again, it's almost like the pool. You say about the pool, yeah, okay, we could open the pool again. Who's going to use it? How many people are going to use it? I'm going to go through this expense for everybody who has a dog. And again, I love dogs. My neighbor's dog, I've watched that dog several times over the years. Like I said, I'm selfish. That's why I don't have.
So I'm the same. I don't have a dog right now.
Yeah.
Specifically for that reason. My wife and I are both retired. We want to go travel someplace. We're gone.
I hear you.
It's just that if we're not going to provide those things, maybe we should just enforce the regular. As I was walking through the park the last time, there were two ladies walking a German Shepherd right on the field, and the dog stopped and pooped right on the field. And I said, you're gonna clean that up, right? And they said something, but I don't know what it was, and I didn't want to be accused of accosting two ladies. So I just kept on going. So yeah, it's widely ignored.
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to ask. So the meeting agenda for tonight did get posted, I think on Monday or something like that. But one of the things that's missing on the website are the minutes of the meetings. Is it possible to get those posted? It's nice sometimes to look back at some of these minutes and, they're just not there. The last time they were posted was September.
I think as Councilman Ray had mentioned earlier, we're righting the ship. We did not have help in that office by my own choosing to try and save a salary for a year, and it didn't work. So Kayla is doing her best to catch up not only with dog licensing, but with stuff like that also. So.
All right, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Anyone else? Questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Margaret Margaret Taylor, 1016 Deer Haven Terrace in Overlook. And I have to tell John, we have dog waste places and bags, and it costs us a lot of money. I was on the board when we decided to do it. They were there originally by the developer. Someone took them down because they had rusted. We put up new ones. Cost us a lot of money, and I walk my little dog every day, and I pick up from other dogs. So trust me, I think it would be a waste of the township's money. Instead, enforce. Get the police out there if they see someone not picking up. When I lived in Brooklyn, my husband one day was walking our dog there and did not pick up, and we got fined, $100 fine for not. And another time he didn't have the dog on the leash, and that time too he got fined. That's not my reason for coming, but my question: where does the planning board fit in with the council? Does the planning board report to the council?
They will explain that. They don't really,
Not really.
they're their own separate entity, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
They are tasked
What-
with certain things like creating the master plan, hearing applications, and there's nothing the council can tell them what to do or how to do it. That's their,
Okay.
but there
All
are
right.
laws and regulations with them also, so.
Okay, all right. I was at the last planning board meeting. And is Paul the engineer for the planning board also? And so you have to be excused with the NFI
Yes.
meeting? Okay. An engineer came in who obviously the planning board did not know, didn't recognize. And the attorney from the representing NFI knew him. But that engineer was supposed to be representing Lopatcong, if I'm not mistaken. The engineer, right?
he's the conflict engineer, but just because so engineers should do planning board work and attorneys should do planning board work. I'm sure if he walked in, I probably knew who he was too, but that doesn't mean they have an improper relationship. It just means they know each other because we all work in the same circles. You know, I
Okay,
know.
because that was like a red flag to me, like, okay, he is the one that brought in
No,
the
the township
engineer.
hired him as conflict engineer to cover when Mr. Sturvis cannot. So that engineer works for the township.
They
Okay,
just walked in together. I was back there. I watched them.
all
They
right,
just happened to, they knew each other, just like I would know somebody walking.
okay, because I was like,
Nah,
what's going on here?
no,
You know,
everything's
just,
fine.
it was like a red flag to me.
You
like-
have to remember that attorneys and engineers, we have clients, so we do what we need to do for our clients, but that doesn't mean that people who do that same work and maybe we disagree, that doesn't mean that we have to be mean to each other outside of our
No,
time. We can
of course
scream and
not.
yell at each other when we're in a courtroom, when we're in a planning board hearing, but then at the end of the day, we still do the same kind of work, so we know
Okay,
each other.
thank you. I was quite confused when I left the planning board meeting. Thank you.
Anyone else? Judy?
47 Pile Drive.
Hey, I just wanted to follow up. I had a bunch of things that I brought up at the planning board meeting, but was told to bring to the council meeting. So kind of want to make sure I do that. One of it, which actually was from the last town council meeting when I spoke about the overpass or bridge, I'm not sure what we call it, the 2257. Everyone kind of recognized it's been in horrible shape for decades. I believe you weren't here. So the mayor had us in contact, and I called you a few times. Thank you so very much for taking my calls. So I just wanted to follow up if you had a chance to do, you said you were going to do your own inspection
I did.
before sending a letter off to,
Done my inspection, have pictures.
I'm sorry,
I've done my inspection and I have record pictures of the area.
okay. And then did you send something to the state, the department?
Not yet.
Not yet? Will there be something from the
Yes.
town? Okay. So when I spoke about the first time speaking with the Department of Transportation, the DOT, you guys all kind of are like, good luck with that. They were very unresponsive. You know, you've tried, right? You said you had a coalition. Fortunately, I did not have the same experience you guys had. I got a certified state letter from the Deputy Chief of Staff for the Commissioner, a very detailed response to a letter that I wrote them. I called weekly, made connections. They've been very responsive. They've even called, gave me contact information. I had a follow-up question about something from the report. The gentleman is on vacation. My husband actually spoke with him. Another man from the Department of Transportation reached out to my husband regarding the 22, Paul, you and I spoke about that on the phone, the split for 2257 Red School Lane. So my husband is talking with the Department of Transportation about that issue. I was focused on a few issues, one of which was the bridge. So they did get back to me. And they said that they were pleased to inform me that the bridge inspection happens every 24 months. So I'm surprised we don't know that. By the Federal Highway Administration through the bridge inspection standards. And that bridge actually was recently inspected on October 15th, 2021. They go on, very lengthy explanation about the bridge deck being in fair condition. The superstructure is in satisfactory condition. The bridge substructure is satisfactory condition. I talked about the crumbling, and that was just a protective coating originally applied. They said it's in fine condition. The bridge is in fine condition. However, it was functionally obsolete due to the insufficient deck geometry and horizontal and vertical underclearances. It's a detailed letter. They go on to talk more about the bridge because I talked about the fact that it was built so long ago. Was it built to withstand the weight from all the warehouses that are being built, not just here in this area, but out in the Lehigh Valley and coming, this way? And they assured me it was, again, documented. So my first question when I just got through that, this is a 3-page letter they wrote me back, was if it was just inspected, how come we don't know? How come our town engineer doesn't know? Do you get the report?
They don't inform us of that.
Well, I'm sorry?
They do not inform us of those inspections.
Exactly. Well, that's why I asked. And the answer to that was because of security reasons. They even if I opened, right, they wouldn't. However, we absolutely can reach out and ask about the inspections that occur, making sure that the structure is. So I think that's good for you guys to know, right? You guys can follow up with the department so that we know. Because is that the only one that we have in town? Is that the only overpass bridge that we have in town? I think it is. I can't think of another one. Besides the railroad one, right? That guy that goes by that one is scary too, but I assume that's the railroad that's taking care of that. So, that would be great to follow up on every, what did I say, 6 months?
Can we get a copy of this letter? Because quite honestly, there may not be any sense in us sending you letters. It sounds like you got all the information already.
Yeah, but I think it'd be great for the town to have something on record, right?
Perhaps.
God forbid that something happens now.
If I can see what the letter says.
Absolutely, you can have a copy. This is just my only copy, so I have absolutely no problem sharing.
I can give you a card and you can scan and email it to me or bring
Sure.
it down to Beth and she can scan it.
Absolutely, I have no problem sharing.
Sure.
No, I'm a sharer, one of those people. Okay, so I also had inquired in my original letter to them about intersections, and I brought that up to the town council, the intersections of 22-519 and 57-519, Stryker's 57. They go on to explain the studies they've been doing and plan to do there. So that's nice to know, that they, again, goes into detail about the improvements, signage, changing the structure. I still have follow-up questions that I will ask when the gentleman comes back from vacation, because we're putting, again, the cart before the horse. We're looking to build more warehouses, and we can't, our intersections can't handle what's there now. So I would think we need to get the intersections done before we can continue to build 2 more warehouses, 1 and 2 here. Who knows what the mall's gonna be? And then the one in Phillipsburg. So I will continue to talk to the Department of Transportation, follow up with them about this information, because they have already done some studies and continue to do so on all those intersections that I had stated. So again, I was happy to report that they were responsive. So note to self, right? You guys can actually reach out to them, and they will know. They will get back to you, I hope. Talked about that. Trees, thank you, John. The litter, thank you very much. That is such an awesome deal to have the town. Although I still am a firm believer that we need to hold people accountable for them all, accountable for their litter. But that's great. I hope to be able to join you. Was the mall sold? I heard the mall was sold.
Not to my knowledge.
It has not changed title.
They haven't changed title yet. That's probably why I couldn't find
There's
it.
been a contract to sell it that's been in place for 2 or 3 years. We only know that because there's a tax appeal, so we got it as part of the tax.
Right, right. So so that is the owner that we're going to be going, hopefully, because the ordinance, and we're talking about, they have till April 19th. But the mall, how would that work? Because it's a different truck, you know what I mean? It's not, it's the, Breaking Bad trailer and
Property owner is responsible, not the truck.
So we're going to go after the property owner for just allowing it, period. Do we ever look into Lopatcong? Like, they have that blinking sign and they have signs. Is that something we should be posting also?
When you say they have signs, I have pictures of the sign.
Yeah, right. Which one? The blinking one or
The
the
blinking
ones that they put on the
I
light?
was out there at 8 o'clock at night,
Oh.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so it's
they
the
have-
blinking one.
The blinking one was the one that I saw in the one I took pictures of. I did not.
Yeah.
I did not notice and or see
Yeah.
anything else, but I was out there, so.
Yeah. Okay.
But we're not sure if the mall put that sign up or if Lopatcong put that sign up. Right?
Yeah, we don't know that.
It was Lopatcong, but I wanted to share with you. I know that you're driving around, you're saying, I don't know why I'm seeing.
Listen, I want the public to know that we're all driving.
Oh, yes,
So,
you're absolutely right.
More pictures.
Yep.
You telling me, that's kind of belaboring the point.
Yes,
We all see it, and we're doing our best
right?
to what we, so I could get 100 people up here telling me they got pictures. That's great. I live here, I drive here, I think I've told you several times. If
Yes.
you'd like me to write star rating times down, I can do it.
No, I don't
As to
want
when I've been
times.
through there, and quite honestly, this massive truck traffic that everybody's talking about, I mean, the way it's pointed to me sometimes is that we got trucks lined up from 519 to 57. I have yet to see that. I've seen 1 or 2 trucks, okay, in and out during the day. I
Yeah.
don't see where they're holding traffic up at this point. I'm not saying that's not gonna happen. I've also sat at the light at 519 and 22 and watched 1 truck make it through that intersection.
That's all I can make it through that intersection.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I believe I also told you that I had a meeting with Assemblyman DeMayo, Mayor Barsney over in Greenwich.
Yeah.
Trust me when I tell you, we're working on it. It's not gonna move as fast as you want, and it's not gonna move as fast as I want,
Right.
but we're working on it.
I know you're working on it, and I think we're working on it together, because the DOT is doing study at that light.
The
and did a
DOT,
study.
the one before any of the warehouses were built, that bridge with the, I don't even know what I would call it, scallop type guardrail, that cement guardrail.
Oh, the one that I was talking about, the
Yes,
overpass
you
bridge?
must have seen them over 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did do.
So
You could see the patchwork.
obviously, there are, we have a tough enough time in Lopat without getting involved with the state
Yeah.
and the county. So I have to trust,
Mm-hmm.
okay? I trust when I go over to George Washington Bridge, that somebody's looked at it.
We hope.
Yeah, we hope, or when I go through the tunnels, as you talked about on 519.
Yeah.
I gotta hope that somebody looked at it. Now, a few weeks ago, we were going through there, it was after the last snowstorm we had, and it got bitterly cold, and the water drips down through.
Oh, yeah, they were knocking down the.
Somebody's road crew, I don't know who it was, Brian, you might know, they're knocking, it
Knocking down
was
the.
probably the county, knocking icicles off
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I see
Took you an
that.
extra 2 minutes to get the shop out, but
I see that. So, no, I'm not talking about the major backups because
There aren't
that's not
any.
what I'm talking about. I think when around the holidays, there was a lot of backup there.
during the holiday,
Yeah.
I believe the chief, I
Yeah.
don't know if that ever
That was probably
materialized.
during the holiday.
I don't think that ever materialized, really, what they were talking about. Didn't they tell us it was gonna be like 800 trucks a day in and out of there? I never saw that.
We worked well with them, and they were surprised, pleasantly surprised that the amount of stuff that actually came through.
So I'm more interested in, well, not more interested, I'm interested in the safety, okay? So, I know, and just because I'm saying it doesn't mean I
Right.
don't think you are. I'm just telling you again, because that's what I feel like as a citizen. I don't ever want someone to say, well, no one said anything about it, because I promise you I'm gonna say something about it, right?
Okay.
That's why we're here. So I have a picture because it's disturbing, and I've seen it more than once. This time it just happened to be on the other side of the intersection that I could safely take a picture because I was stopped at the light, and the first one there. But a truck turning on 57, okay, turning on to 57, making a right, and 3 cars having to back up and maneuver, one having to go forward into the intersection. That's very dangerous.
I've seen it.
Right.
I've
very
backed
dangerous.
up.
So I don't know if you want me to not. Very dangerous. That
Yeah.
can't happen.
Now, take that into consideration, because I can tell you what's gonna happen there.
Go
You're
ahead.
absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably not enough room for them to swing there.
Right.
If you're gonna get involved with the railroad there,
Mm-hmm. I know.
it's not to say we give up on it,
Right. We can't.
but if you
Not-
think that's gonna happen anytime between now and this time next year,
Well, you know, the DOT
Well, we
said
gotta
that's an
start some-
area they're looking at.
but we've gotta start somewhere.
So maybe that picture goes to the DOT. Maybe when I make that connection, I get something, I can send that picture to the DOT. Because thinking about building 2 more warehouses on Strikers Road, that is gonna happen constantly. That is not designed. Again, horse before the cart. I mean, the cart before the horse. We need to fix that intersection before we can think of doing anything else. And if the DOT can help us slow stuff down, let the DOT help us slow stuff down. The other one was tractor trailer coming down Red School Lane. You come right down Red School. This is where and it was around a little bit after dismissal. This is where our children are crossing streets after school. This is where our high school track are running, right? I don't know if you've seen the track, running, people walking. It's dangerous. So we have a tractor trailer going down Red School Lane. To my dismay, makes a right. Okay, so you know that dip we'll make at the light when we go to turn
yes.
onto
Yeah, yeah,
Baltimore,
yeah, yeah.
right? It kind of dips the road there. You know, tractor trailers got turning there on Baltimore. We need to keep tractor trailers out of and off our city roads, or I'm sorry, our town, within our borough, within our town. It's not enough, 78, 50, but now they're on Red School Lane on Baltimore. Occasion where I made a right onto Baltimore, 2 tractor trailers sitting in Baltimore to turn off onto 3rd and to go to the light. Is that?
I saw one today.
Is that legitimate? Are we allowed to do that?
Roseberry Street in Baltimore, or Belvedere Road. Making
I'm
a
sorry?
right-hand turn, go past the brass rail.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I mean, are they allowed to be
They're
doing this?
making deliveries at the nursing homes. Tractor trailers go there with food all the time.
This was, no, this one came off of Baltimore and came off of Belvedere, came all the way down Red School, made the right onto Baltimore, and then made a left at the light.
You'll see a
Yeah.
US Foods truck at.
Was not a
tractor
foods truck, that's why I took a
You'll
picture
see-
of it.
You'll see tractor trailer trucks going up to the high school.
Not that many of them. Right, so I guess my question is, are we allowing trucks on our,
Are we allowing them?
right, are there signs like,
They do stop, they stop in front of my house on Belvedere Road all the time. I mean, if they come through, they yell.
so I guess what I just want to sink in is that more warehouses are gonna create more of this.
We know that, yeah.
Okay, good.
We know that.
So I just gotta keep telling you until we keep fighting really hard
I'm not
against,
gonna have a chief's patrolman to sit on Belvedere Road all day long and run.
oh, I bet we'd make a fortune.
No, we wouldn't, because all we could write for is the title, disobeyance of signs, and we don't
Mhm.
weigh trucks, we couldn't make a fortune. We get a little ticket and that's about it.
But Mayor, you had said we would like truckers to know that we have zero tolerance and you can drive right through. But yes, and I thank the chief for pulling over the ones, and they can't be everywhere, I get it. But again, I'm gonna keep coming here, we're gonna keep talking about it. What's that?
You want them in the park with your dog, or you want them on the road with your truck?
I don't want them in the park with my dog. So, there you go.
I'm not making light of the
But,
situation. We could put up 1,000,000 signs,
Mhm.
okay, and the chief knows I told him this. I don't care if we become the French town for truckers.
I hope we become
You
the
know, when
French
you go down
town
through
for
French town, you
truckers.
better do 25, you
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it is. So if the truckers suddenly get that we can't go through Lopat.
Good. That's what I'm hoping to hear, and that's what I'm hoping to see.
Something else I should not say, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Go ahead.
A lot of these people that are driving these trucks can't speak English. Okay,
That means, so you.
that doesn't make it right.
Right.
We
That
can
they
get
can't-
around it, but,
Right.
'Cause I've
So
seen-
I
I've
think
seen-
we put signs up.
I've seen trucks in town, in my jaunts around in my different schools, that I've actually stopped over the years and tried to guide, because, they're going up Warren Street in Phillipsburg. They can't get underneath that culvert over there. So I do my best to be the good person and stop these guys. And listen, where do you need to go? And it's been very tough sometimes.
I remember someone mentioning about Google Maps. The town can contact to make sure that Google Maps is not using, it's the trucker, I don't know enough about it, I probably should research it, but so that they're not using these routes as alternate routes.
But I believe Baltimore Street they can use, I think.
Yeah, there's two areas of Baltimore Street that have load restrictions on it between the four-way intersection and the entrance to the Hillcrest Mall, and then between Red School Lane and Strikers Road. But the area that was just discussed near Third Street is not an area where there's a load restriction, so a heavier vehicle can travel in that area.
So they can
Under
travel
current
down
routes.
Red School and make that turn there to go out to Third Street?
Yes, they can.
So they can
In
go
my
down Red
opinion,
School
yes.
Lane? Could we change that?
I don't know, we can just inadvertently change that.
Can we change that? Because,
Yeah.
listen, our roads aren't gonna be able to handle this.
The town can amend the ordinance, yes.
So perhaps, yes, amending ordinances. So when you say we could put signs up, let's put signs up. Let's make sure our ordinance are keeping trucks out of our little neighborhoods where our kids are running for a track, where I see a lot of people, senior citizens, walking on Red School Lane. They do the loop. God bless them. I can't do that loop. They do the loop. We don't need trucks there. It's dangerous. So yes, so please, let's put signs. Yes, let's look to change the ordinances and the weight limits on those roads. That would be wonderful. You talked about taxes, the last meeting, from the warehouses, helping to keep us stable. Are those differences gonna help to pay for the roads? I hope so, because I just kept picturing that dip. Why is that dip there? Is it just the road is that way?
Which road are you referring to?
When you come at the light at Red School and you turn right onto Baltimore, it's quite a dip. What is that?
Did you show where storm drain is?
Yes, I think there is a storm drain there, yeah.
I have to take a look at it. I mean, we just improved that road back in 2020.
I'm just thinking trucks doing that, I can't believe he didn't bottom out, but that will destroy that
I don't know
quickly.
if something settled out there, but
Yeah.
there was no problem in 2020 when we did the road,
Well, maybe the trucks caused it.
updating the traffic signal, so.
Yeah. So, I just hope that that tax difference doesn't get eaten up just because we have to repair roads. But if we could keep them, change those ordinances, keep them off of our inner borough streets, that would be wonderful. You guys talked about the porta potties, left out of, the warehouse, still doing that.
The what?
The left out of the warehouse and up to 57, they're still doing that. Remember you had talked about, they had cones there, that perhaps when you have a meeting with them, I don't know, maybe they need a big sign, a bigger sign that says don't turn left. I don't know, yeah, it's still
It's clear
happening.
as day that they're not supposed to make a left.
Which end of
That's
that?
not safe for me to take a picture while I'm driving, so I haven't snapped a shot of that. The bottom end, toward,
Toward the bridge?
I'm sorry.
With the bridge there? Towards
Yeah,
Greenway?
yes,
Drive
yes.
over the bridge.
So they're not supposed to make that left.
No,
They're making that left.
that's not even convenient.
Is it convenient to make a right off of Strikers onto 57? No. But if they gotta get up that way, it's shorter. However, they have to turn it, like, they block the whole road when they do it. It's a mess. It's a mess when they do that. That's it. That's all from Judy Vitten. Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Yes, sir.
Can I raise one issue regarding the signage you were talking about, like maybe an ordinance, an ordinance change regarding that, right? Relating to the signage, I think you're talking about one of those lit up DOT signs?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
That's at the mall.
Yes, at the mall, yes.
Yep.
I'm trying to link the two together and maybe come up with something better than either one. And that is the paper signage on the Pohat side of the mall, right? Just the paper signage. It specifically states, by temporary police order, and then it has something. Is that something that could be handled before you can change and amend an ordinance? What is the powers available for a temporary police order prohibiting that traffic on Baltimore?
You talking Baltimore?
Well, I believe we were just talking about the Baltimore Road, where they go to Third Street and make a left, and some of it is allowed, some of it isn't. If we want them off there,
We'd have to do it by an actual ordinance. Temporary police order is like for a parade or street cleaning.
well, there's no parade at
No, but
the
that's what they
mall.
can use it for. They can't just, oh, we decided we don't want to wait for an ordinance, we're gonna put that in. We can't.
Well, I don't know, I can't speak to what they did. I can just speak to the fact that that's how they did that. And I don't know if that's available, because at the end of the day, what are they gonna do? Tell you no? I don't know. I'm
It's
just.
not available, I'll tell you, that's not available.
Okay. Yes,
Donna?
I'll try to be as short as I can. 26 Meadowview, Donna Schneider. I have a couple of questions. Thank you, Brian, for talking about, for you, Mayor, for talking about taking down the retention fences. There's still one in Meadowview, but Brian explained it's connected to a couple of homeowners' fences, so that'll come down. So I'm very happy to see that come down. Speaking of porta potties, there's a porta potty in front of Berry Plastics. I see truck drivers pulling in, opening their things, going into the bays of Berry and using the porta potty. I never saw a porta potty there, but now there's a porta potty out there in the front of the building.
Maybe they don't want them to go inside, use the bathroom.
But that's not they don't need porta potties out in front of a building on Strikers Road for everybody to see a porta potty and the door opening with the guy's pants half down. So, sorry, it doesn't belong there. It doesn't belong there.
I don't know what they're doing there.
Yeah, who knows what they do in those porta potties? But it's there. I don't believe it belongs there. If they have sewer and they have bathrooms inside, they should do that or go find somewhere else to use the bathroom, not to put a porta potty outside in front of Berry Plastics. I think it's inappropriate.
Is that business open?
No, but there are, I have seen some tractor trailers backed up to the bays there. I don't know if they're still unloading that building or what they're doing.
And cars, there's been a lot of car traffic in there too.
There's been traffic in there.
Yeah, the stop signs
Not like
laying
when it
on
was
the
open,
ground. The stop signs down, there's a sign down, there's a tree down. It's just kind of a mess in the front of Berry Plastics. Yeah, and the porta potty. That's something I have not seen before until last week. So thank you for looking into that. I appreciate that. The sewer credit, the 5 years that we were talking about, does that also have to do with the suit that, did I misunderstand this? Can they not raise our sewer rates
Right.
forever?
That's a settlement, not forever.
Well, not forever.
Not
5
forever.
years.
Okay, 5 years. 5 years. Okay, got it. Okay.
Well, we got 2 more years now.
Yeah, 2 more.
Yeah.
Well, it's not 4 like you thought. Right. Okay. So I was looking, so when I was at the planning board meeting, I asked about how many lawsuits we have going on at the moment. And the chairman said he doesn't know, there's too many to count. So I did a little searching online and I found 4 docket numbers, as we all know which ones, because they're in the minutes. Pritchett versus, council and planning, Bridge, Lopat Solar versus the township, NFI versus the council, and NFI versus the planning board?
One in the district court too.
District court, okay. Is there anything you can share with the residents on anything being finalized? Is there something you can share to tell, you know what I'm concerned about? I'm concerned about our ordinance for no warehouses. Because at the moment with all of this being in court, is it my understanding that our ordinance cannot be enforced at the moment? Is that true?
The existing ordinance can be enforced.
It can be, so if
The
you,
court has said the initial ordinance could not be enforced.
okay, the initial one, not the one you
The
passed
one that happened in December of
2021, 2020,
That
right?
one they said no.
Okay,
The one that came after that.
okay, so we're
They
good to
haven't-
go with that.
They didn't say, that's why those lawsuits are still pending, because they're still saying we should never have done them, they were inconsistent with the master plan, there's still not procedural issues, there's still things pending on them, but.
Okay, so if someone tries to submit an application for a warehouse in Lopatcong, they fall into the new one where it's no. Okay, so that brings us to my next question with the mall. I hear Pohatcong wants to put a warehouse. So if it's a shared property and we don't allow warehouses, what is the town's stance on that? Are there going to be a half a warehouse put on one side and we're not? How does that?
Properties in an area needed redevelopment, so the town's
Right.
working on a redevelopment plan.
Yes, and I understand with redevelopment, you can spot put things on properties, correct? You don't have to follow the ordinance for redevelopment?
There's no ordinance, it's whatever the plan is.
It's whatever the plan is.
Redevelopment plan is an ordinance, it's a customized ordinance.
Okay, so that means if an application was submitted for the mall property to put a warehouse, we have to do it because it's
Right now,
redeveloped.
there's an ordinance that says no warehouses.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get. So if we have no warehouses and they want to put a warehouse there, how does that work?
Well, they can do whatever they want, oh.
You might get a parking lot,
Okay, so,
but right next to a warehouse.
and not a truck parking lot, just a regular parking lot. Okay,
Parking lot for somebody.
Yeah.
Or maybe.
parking lot for somebody.
Or a piece of grass, but.
It's
So
gonna be
in
right
light
next
of
door.
what POHAC's doing, we're trying to evaluate those properties there and try to
Okay,
figure it out.
okay. I was just trying to figure out how all that worked legally and with applications and such, so, okay.
Right now, we got an application, they cannot put a warehouse
Okay, awesome.
in Lopat.
In Lopat, right. So speaking of trees and shade tree, I don't know, I'm sure you don't, but going up and down Meadowview Road, the sidewalks, and I'm sure Powderhorn is the same way, the sidewalks are basically, you can look underneath and see tree roots. I mean, it's, they're really bad. I don't know, is it true that that's the property owner's responsibility for sidewalks? Or is that because the township planted the trees that make the sidewalks come
The
up?
developer
The
planted the
developer
trees.
did, but we approved those trees to be put there.
I have to look at your ordinance again, but if I had to guess, it's the property owner.
It's the property
I lived
owner.
on Stonehenge and I was told it was.
It was property owner,
It was
right?
A lot of work, yeah.
And you can rip the tree down, right? Because it's not the township's anymore, it's ours. Because we take care of the trees now. They're,
In the planting strip between them?
Because most of them are going into the
Going in the
water,
sewer pipe.
sewer pipes and causing all kind of problems.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's hard, I see, it's scary sometimes because you see women pushing their baby and a little
Yeah.
baby on the side, walking
Yep.
on the street, and those turns and stuff, and it just, I don't speed up my block, and I'm terrified when I come around a corner, and all of a sudden, oh my God, there's a lady there with a baby carriage, and, a little toddler riding her little thing, it's really scary, and I get that if it's the property owner, it's the
And that's-
property owner.
It's been a problem for many years in every municipality. Why they planted trees next to sidewalks. I never got that. And we're still doing it today.
There are some developments that are wising up, in my opinion, who are putting the trees on the other side of the sidewalk.
Yes.
Between the sidewalk and the house, not between the sidewalk and the
Yes.
So,
Yeah, well, even in the new development by me, they're in their grass, a lot of them are in their
Yeah.
grass on the other side of the
But
sidewalk.
the point is, wherever you put it, if you put it near a sidewalk, the roots.
It's still gonna root, it's still gonna take root and,
Either you don't put any trees, or you gotta put it about 20 feet in.
Right,
yeah, okay. I just wanted
I used to
to.
pop my wheelies, so, when the sidewalks came out.
And my My last, just two quick questions. What is going on with Bridge? Because I know you gave them preliminary approval, correct? They've received preliminary approval?
Yes.
The land use board gave them preliminary. So what happens now?
There was a bunch of conditions in that resolution, and they have to
Meet them.
those
Okay.
conditions.
Under preliminary approval, the applicant has protections for up to a 3-year period. So, and if they don't get the conditions addressed in 3 years, they're eligible to come back in for extensions, 1-year extensions, I believe 2 of them. So the protections could go outwards of 5 years from the date that the resolution was adopted. Ball's in their court right now.
Okay, and we don't,
Nothing happens, nothing happens. And we don't care.
but they could come back 10 years from now and say, okay, we're ready to build?
No, not necessarily. Well, the
Okay.
approval goes with the land, but their protections would have expired after 5 years, assuming they get 2 1-year extensions.
Okay,
And if they expire and there's zoning changes, regulatory changes, then their approval may
Means
no
nothing.
longer be valid, or they may have to reconcile some conflicts with those regulatory changes.
okay, okay. And, I think that's all that's all. Thank you for changing the ordinance. Thank you for doing the ordinance for trucks and parking and all of that. I know we come here month after month and tell you the same thing over and over, and I know you tell us the same thing back over and over. So, thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it. You know,
I know you do, you've been on this side.
I do. And, we do. We're all here to just try and make it the best
We're all in
town
this
we
together, one
can.
way or the other.
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere.
And that's a lot of that. People don't want to move because they loved it here. I hated it here when I moved here, and then it grew on me. But now it's turning into what I grew up on, and it's disheartening,
I've said this before too, it's not the growth, because you're always gonna have that.
Of course.
I mean,
Gotta be the right growth, though.
well, it's gonna be how you handle it.
Sure.
So, it's,
I know.
I mean, I don't want another failed mall. Would be great for the people to go, and there'd be no trucks and all that other stuff, except for the stuff being delivered to the mall. But the mall is a thing of the past, and again, we've become a victim of our own insatiable need for convenience. We all do it. Not a person in this room hasn't ordered something online.
I agree with that, but I don't think we need to give them the keys to our town.
No, I would agree.
I don't think we need to make 7 warehouses in Lopat. So, yeah, we all do it. We're all guilty of it. But thank you. I appreciate the time.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
If I could just make one clarification.
Yes.
Because you asked about the trees, and Beth, I think you said it was okay for them to cut the trees, and we weren't clear, but we do have an ordinance in town that you may not cut down a tree that's between the sidewalk and the street.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
on your own property, it's perfectly okay. So I just wanted to clarify where trees can be cut down by the whole.
Yeah, I think things have changed too, with the ordinance, because now it's the homeowner's responsibility, not the township.
Yes, it's the homeowner's responsibility to maintain the sidewalk, but the tree is still the responsibility.
No, it's not. It's not. The tree's responsibility of the homeowner. It changed.
All right, anyone else, questions, comments? Please do. Yes, sir.
Don Huber, 599 Belvedere Road. Good evening, Mayor, distinguished members of the council, other township officials. I know it's late in the evening. I'm going to run through this very quickly. With your permission, Your Honor, I'd like to pass these along. I'd like to begin by just saying thank you to your superintendent of DPW, Brian Weeks, who handled the original call I made on this concern regarding my property at 599 Belvedere Road. Superintendent was very polite and helpful. I stand here before you because of his guidance, and I want to thank him for that. I think he's a wonderful reflection on the community and on what a municipal official should be. So, and I wasn't compensated for that, correct? Correct. Okay. I've owned a property at 599 Belvedere Road for about 10 years. It's a 3-family home. There's a commercial building attached. It's a pizzeria. When I first purchased the building, it was in disrepair.
did a lot of upgrades, actually equipped the commercial space as a pizzeria. It's been pretty successful up until the last couple of years without getting into the variables. The business owners kind of let it fall apart. They're gone now. I have a new tenant coming in. I'm very excited about it. He has a business pizzeria in another town, and I think he knows the business well. We've met. We're about to invest a lot of money in restoring the pizzeria, and that's where I'm coming to you for assistance. There's a curb on the outside of this pizzeria, and the photos, I think, are there. Since I've had the property, the curb has been in pretty bad shape. I made an initial attempt a couple years in to see if I could get the curb repaired. I know I'm responsible for the sidewalks. I've repaired a number of the pads. They're all in pretty good shape right now. And, you know, DCA comes in every 5 years because it's a three-family. They also provide some inspections, which I think is a good thing for multiple dwellings, complied with everything. This curb is not only an eyesore, it's become a safety hazard. Initially, when I made my first request, at that time, the local government said, oh, we're going to look into it. Nothing really happened. About 5 years ago, I made a second request, and the response was, we can't do anything permanent right now, but we'll put some blacktop over the curb just to kind of keep the concrete from breaking up. And that was done, and it lasted for about a year. But if you look through those photos, you'll see those pictures of the sidewalk, and I apologize for the earlier ones. They're kind of in a shaded portion of the sidewalk. It's actually on the north First Street side of the building, but you can see where the blacktop that is over the curb is now breaking up pretty substantially, and every year it gets worse. With this new tenant coming in, and I really want to improve the surrounding area, not only for the tenant, not only for the other tenants in the building, but for the people in that neighborhood. We still get some school traffic, even though the school's been moved, and then you have the middle school. So, you know, there's a lot of students, certain times of the year, there's a lot of youth that frequent that area. And I believe once this pizzeria is back up and running, it's going to have more traffic. I completely understand. I've been in local government for most of my adult life. I know that's not your concern, how this business runs, but I think the business is a big part of the community. It not only provides a food service, it provides employment, and I have the tenants there. So I'm just looking for whatever consideration the municipality can give me to repair that section of curb. I'll take care of the sidewalks, and actually that's my responsibility. I'm putting up new lattice, painting, Trex on the stairs. I have no problem with investing money in this community. I think it's a great community. This is the first, I'll be honest, the first meeting I've had here. I was very impressed with your presentation, as well as the people that came here, you know, people helping people. I think that's, I don't know if that's your mantra, but it's fantastic. It's really what it's all about, whether it's local government or just neighbors. And I've tried to be part of that. I don't live in this town. I live in a different town because of where I work, but I've always been a part of this community. I supported the fire companies, and I certainly support my tenants. They're nice people. I'm just here tonight to ask for your consideration to help me with this curb. I think you can see that it really does need to be repaired.
No, it definitely needs to be repaired, I would think.
Is your request pertinent to North First Street only, or are you talking about both streets that this building fronts on?
Yes, sir, just North First Street. The other side is fine. And I apologize for not taking photos of that, but that's because it was in good shape, and I assure you the sidewalks, I had those replaced, they're also okay. But I get that any problems with the sidewalks, I will definitely take care of it. I don't want anybody tripping or falling.
Was that road recently paved?
Yes, sir.
That side of the road was paved.
Yes, and it's still marked. If you look at those photos, you'll see in certain sections, they marked off, I guess, the gas.
We did not pave that. That was, well,
That was the gas.
the gas company, correct.
Okay,
And they only paved half of it.
Yes.
The section they worked
the
on.
road,
Yes, sir.
right, and yet they didn't do anything with the curb,
No, sir.
as obviously we can see in the photo. That's bizarre.
So that concludes the God bless you, man. And I just want
have a
to,
question, another question for
Yes,
you.
sir.
I'm not making any commitments on the town council, but if the town were to consider something like this, the sidewalk abuts the curbing, and also if the sidewalk is very steep from looking at your photos. In fact, I know the area, I've been over there. So let's say hypothetically, the town replaces the curb, are you willing to replace the sidewalk between the main line sidewalk and the curb?
to be clear, where it abuts the curbing,
Yes.
and if that becomes required, then that's something I'll have to do.
I just wanted to bring that out tonight. I'm not making any commitments for them. I just wanted to ask that question, so. Okay.
Yes, sir.
How many feet of that curb? Is it 10 feet, 20 feet?
There's actually two sections, but the problem is, it's like this section's okay, then this section's busted up, then this section's kind of okay, and this section's busted up. So I'm not a curb guy, but it might make more sense just to replace the entire curb.
So how many feet?
150 feet, Brian?
150 feet?
Oh, yeah.
125, and
Yeah.
it goes to the alley.
Yeah, okay. So from the corner back to the alley?
By the stop sign, yeah, heading back.
Well, it actually goes from the corner to the parking lot, stops at the parking lot. I have a parking lot in the back of the building. And then on the other side of the parking lot is the alley. So I couldn't really.
So you're not going all the way to the alley then?
Yeah, I would say maybe closer to 100 feet. Because the parking lot's about
We
40.
can certainly
50
measure that.
feet.
Obviously, nothing's gonna be settled tonight. But so, yeah, let us know. Let us know. Kudos to you for getting another tenant in there. I will tell you that Gabrielle's, is probably the most successful business I've seen in there in a number of years. There used to be a little food market
Yes,
years
sir.
ago, when we were growing up, right, Ben? Dog Fresh Market. So, that was empty for quite a while until it was opened up as Gabrielle's. That had to be there, about 10, 15 years?
When I purchased it, that store was an empty shell.
Yeah.
And I put the pizzeria in. Yep. And the guy that originally had it did a great job, but I'm just being honest with you. It started to flounder toward the end for
Yep.
a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best to make sure that the next tenant coming in, I did a lot of interviews and research. It's gonna be a good tenant, good member of the community, and he will be successful, and it'll be a good reflection on the community.
Yeah, there were never any problems there, not to my knowledge, anyway. All right.
So however this turns out, I wanna just thank you for your time.
All right, well, we certainly appreciate you sitting here all night, too.
My pleasure. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Anyone else, questions, comments?
Just for the record, I wanted to, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Since I brought it up, perhaps I was nervous for my first time officially presenting something here. But I wanted to, for the record, if you wanted to see the sign estimate, we did actually reach out and get something
Okay,
back.
sure.
That would probably be the best thing. So I'll submit it to Beth right now.
Yeah, you can give her that, she can give you your copy back if you want, you know.
Sure thing.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's even better yet.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anyone else, questions, comments? I don't see any, thank you, no, that's, anyone else? Seeing none, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor? Folks, thanks for coming out.